Why did you start studying Japanese? What got you interested in Japanese?
Um, the thing that got me interested into Japanese was probably like uh, to be honest, I started like getting interested in middle school, and in middle school, as anyone does, I was watching anime and J dramas. But other than that, when I started to learn about Japanese culture, I realized it had a lot of similarities with my own culture, and also I realized how like not well known Japanese culture is in American high schools. So I was interested in it, started studying Japanese.
Uh, like, I guess like when I was a kid, whenever I'd go to the Philippines, I would always like stop by in Japan as a layover. So I started like getting interested in like learning the language so that I wouldn't have as hard of a time in the airport. But then also in middle school, like when I started getting interested into forms of Japanese art like anime, J-drama, music, that's when like my interest in learning Japanese like really started. And when I saw that it was a class option in 8th grade, I took it.
It started when my dad lived in Japan for 5 years. He's an engineer, and he used to always say how beautiful the country is, how punctual and how clean it is. And my life goal is to study in Japan or maybe work there.
I think for me, it definitely started when my sister, she was like watching anime, and then we both started watching anime when I was in middle school, and together we both watched Blue Exorcist. And then I think from there we started, I wanted to do a language that was a bit more unique and that like went out of my comfort zone, and that was something a bit more related to like a bit more of a richer culture, and I think that's what Japan had to offer, so I chose that.
Hi. So, what interested me in Japanese at first? As a small child, I used to watch a lot of anime. And then in middle school, I finally started to begin to study it and understood the language a lot more because of the basis that I got as a young child. So, a lot of the Japanese, like beginning, learning the language came really easy to me. And so I continued it on later in life. And since then, I've learned more things that interested me and intrigued me about the language.
I chose to learn Japanese to differentiate myself from some of my classmates, and it just became really interesting after that.
I chose to study Japanese I started watching Japanese drama. I would pick up words and phrases in the drama because they just came out continuously, and I think learning Japanese and listening to Japanese was something that was so interesting and fun for me because I thought that Japanese was a very pretty language.
I chose to study Japanese because it just felt right. It felt like me. If I were to put it into a metaphor, it's like when you choose your clothes in the morning, you pick your favorite outfits because it's part of you. And I feel the same way about Japanese. It just feels like it's what I'm meant to do.
What is your favorite Japanese word, kanji, or aspect of Japanese culture?
My favorite Japanese word would probably be sumimasen because it just has so many different uses, so I like it.
My favorite Japanese kanji would probably be the tanoshi kanji because it can be used for tanoshi, which means like happy, and also music. And like since I like do band, I like music.
My favorite kanji is tomodachi because it has many strokes and it's always in our tests and quizzes, and it's complex, and friendships are complex too.
I would say my favorite kanji is sai, and it's not necessarily the kanji itself that I like, but the good memories associated with it. Because so my name is Saisha, and so you can put kanji to both of the like portions of my name. So my friends one day, they decided that they were going to put kanji to my name, and they took the sai kanji for like extreme, and then they put the sha kanji from like kuruma, and then they put it together. And so I walked in one day and it just said Saisha on the board, but I think that's probably why it's my favorite kanji.
So my favorite Japanese phrase is waku waku, as I used in my speech. It kind of means like excited, but it's more of like a Japanese onomatopoeic to describe how you feel when you're excited. Kind of like waku waku, kind of like the sound your heart makes, you know. So
I don't have a favorite phrase or favorite kanji, but I really like the Japanese word hana because just flowers are just so pretty in Japan.
My favorite kanji is kashikoi. It's one of the characters in my Korean name, and at first I was very intimidated by it, but just learning what it means and seeing like what it would mean to like live out a kashikoi life, even though I'm very far from that. Yeah, that's why my favorite kanji is kashikoi.
I would say my favorite Japanese word is domo because it can be used in any situation and it's very useful. It can get you out of a lot of sticky situations.
What advice do you have for future speech contestants?
My advice for future speech contestants would be to start early and to also write your speech in Japanese first and then write the English translation so that you know that like all your Japanese stuff is correct and you know what you're doing before you write it in English first and then don't know what to do when translating.
That's a great point.
I would also suggest that like future contestants like write their speech in Japanese first because like when I would write ippal letters, my sensei would tell me to like write the Japanese first because sometimes with English like I would get carried away. I would have like hard terms or like weird sentences that couldn't be easily translated and I would get stuck like that. But I would also suggest practicing saying your speech before like submitting it because I thought my speech was fine and then it was like really long and I struggled to practice, so yeah.
So congratulations for actually thinking about participating because this is a big contest and it's a big leap into your Japanese learning. So to be successful, you need to get yourself out there and be uncomfortable. And so just you participating in this contest really means a lot. So I'm gonna say try your best and it's okay if you don't win because you participating, you're already the winner.
I think I would say that you always want to just try and put your best foot forward and not be like worried about what the outcome might be. I would definitely say that like trying to go outside of your comfort zone is what this entire speech contest is all about. So I think it's definitely important and, you know, good luck.
My advice would just be to practice, and then also get different opinions. Also, recording yourself really helps to see maybe the intonations that you're missing or how you should pronounce things differently. I also used a native like speaker's voice message, or not voice message, but like recording to see or compare and contrast the differences between how I spoke and how they spoke and see maybe how I can improve. So.
I also say just practicing as much as you possibly can, and then like writing Japanese that really showcases as much as you've learned over the course of your like learning period or whatever.
My advice would to think of your Japanese speech, and when you're writing in Japanese, you're using Japanese as a tool. It's not, you're using words and you're using phrases to help your speech, and it's not about who can use the most complicated words. It's not even about who's the best at Japanese, but it's really thinking about your audience and what's the story that you want to tell them. It's a very specific audience, people who know about Japan and people who share your interest of Japanese in Japan. So thinking about that, think about what story you want to share, and also it took me many drafts to get to the current draft that I took, and not even saying that my current draft is perfect, but just don't get discouraged even when you don't get the draft that you want. Just keep going for it and just keep reading and just keep going until you can get to a draft that you can be satisfied with.
I would say the best advice I can give is to not use too many words. Being concise is much more important. When you talk slowly, it comes easier and you can pronounce it better.